There is a supernatural world that surrounds us, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. You'll hear about some of these stories and much more right here on Supernatural Confrontations. Before I get into today's show, let me just say this, that our inbox is absolutely overrun with emails. So please do not use la@lamarzulli.net. We have a brand new email address. It's supernatural@lamarzulli.net. Once again, supernatural@lamarzulli.net. Supernatural@lamarzulli.net. I have about a stack of paper. I've gone through a lot of emails. Please be patient. Continue to write in. We'll get to all of you. It just takes time. And it's just Peggy and myself. We don't have a staff of people. So that's what's going on with that. But today's interview was with a man by the name of Lee. And this happened years ago down in New Orleans. Now, before I get into Lee's testimony, Richard Shaw, the late Richard Shaw, and I spent some time in New Orleans. And it was one of the darkest places I've ever been. I couldn't wait to get out of there. And Richard concurred. He couldn't wait to get out of the city either. Now, the people down there are really great. The food's amazing. And certain sections of the city are wonderful. Other sections of the city, not so much. Here's Lee's testimony. And he's very young. He's a Christian then. But he's very young. And, he's sightseeing and looking at stuff. And he wanders into a voodoo shop. Here's his testimony. Check this out. Studies have revealed that our appearance affects our mental health. The anti-aging industry has tried to capitalize on that for decades. Unfortunately, many of the anti-aging products out there fall short. This is because most of the serums and supplements out there don't target the source of the problem. That's why I'm such a huge fan of multi-collagen. Multi-collagen works to quickly restore youthfulness back to your skin. It helps by combating loose skin and wrinkles and does this quicker and more effectively than anything else. Imagine how good your skin will look this summer with taking it. If you want to look and feel your best, grab some multi-collagen today. Get up to 51% off of the next 24 hours only by going to healthwithla.com. That's healthwithla.com, or by visiting a link below. I'm here with a fan of the show. His name is Lee, in an undisclosed location someplace. And Lee, thanks so much for coming on the record. We appreciate it. Folks, we're really hitting a nerve with the show Supernatural Confrontation, because what we do is we open the doors and people begin to tell their stories. Some of these folks who have come on the record have never told anybody or kept it hidden down for 10, 20, 30 years, maybe even longer in some cases. And what's great about this is it gives normal folks like me and you a platform just to come on and talk and discuss. The supernatural world is real. And too often in our modern day church, it's all happy smiles and all this stuff. Meanwhile, there's maybe 30, 35% of the people sitting in your pews right now, pastors, if you're watching this, who have had encounters, sleep paralysis, encounters with angelic entities, demons. They've been abducted, they've been taken, they've had an encounter with a UFO, a gray, whatever it is. And so that's why Supernatural Confrontations, that's why we're here. The Lord has redirected our steps. It's a brand new show. And my inbox is filled with people telling their stories. And we try to get to as many people as we can. It's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on YouTube, Supernatural Confrontations. If you have an encounter, a confrontation, shoot me an email, la@lamarzulli.net. Lee, thanks so much for joining us. And, I read your account, and I've been in New Orleans. We talked a little bit before we started, hit the record button. And I couldn't get out of that town fast enough. It is a very dark, foreboding place. But give us the backstory. What happened? How old were you when you were there, and what happened?
Well, this was was the casino opening up there, and I was doing a side job helping train a graveyard. And this was around 99, 2000, little while before 9/11. And it was, I was working nights, and I worked for a week or so, and then I went, had a day off, and I thought, well, I'm going to do the tourist thing. I went to the French Quarter, walked around, saw all the different things, and it was quite interesting. I'd heard of a famous pirate, I don't remember his name, that had a bar down at the end of Bourbon Street, and it was supposed to be over 200 years old. So I'm into history, so I walked down there to check it out. Yeah, it was a really old building. There wasn't much to see, and it was a bar. Okay, it was no big deal. But on the way back, this is when it got really weird. I went to, I don't know, block and a half. It was before all the big businesses, and there was a shop, and it said Voodoo shop. And if I didn't know what was going to happen, I probably would have prayed before going in there. But I had no idea what was going to happen. I was just plain tourist. I walked in the door. And when I first walked in, I looked around, and there was all kinds of voodoo garb. And I thought, well, this is weird and interesting. And I made another step forward. And about that time across the room, I could see a doorway, a table, and a round sphere-looking, I forget what they call it.
A crystal ball. A crystal ball.
Right. Crystal ball.
Right.
And when I noticed this, I felt like there was something there, but it was almost pushing on me. And it was in front of me, and at least at the beginning. And I thought, well, that's strange. I just kind of walked forward. And by the second step, I felt so much pressure. I felt so overwhelmed, and I almost felt sick. So I decided I was going to leave, and I didn't run. I just walked slowly to the door casually, but I kept feeling this presence, and it was heavier. It was heavy the whole time. I got to the door, opened the door, and I'm thinking as I walk out that this is going to be over. And it wasn't. I was and on the sidewalk, and I still felt it. I started walking across the street, still felt it. I was at least halfway across the street, and whatever it was, this entity, this evil demon, whatever it was, pushed me. And I staggered as I turned around and looked. Of course, I couldn't see anything, and there was nobody around close enough to be pushing me. Yeah, it was quite an experience. It was. I've had some other supernatural experiences, but that was the most intense, upfront, in person. I don't know how else to explain it.
Let me ask you something. Lee, you were a born again Christian at that time, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you're just sightseeing, and I get it. I mean, you don't know what a voodoo shop is. This is my wheelhouse. There's no way you could get me to go into one of these things. But unless the Lord directed my steps and go in, you'll see a woman there. You're going to pray over her and break the spirit that's her familiar spirit that's residing in her. I would do that. But to wander in someplace like that. But if we don't know, and that's what's so great about having you come on the record, because here you are, you're working at a job, you come out of that job and you're kind of sightseeing, looking at some stuff, and you shop, and I get it. I've been there. They are alluring because it's sort of, you've never seen anything like it. Well, what's this? And you go in and you check things out. So this thing comes at you, it hits you, it pushes you, and it follows you out the door. And when it finally pushed you, did you almost fall? Were you in the middle of the street? Were there cars going by? Tell me that part.
There was people on the sidewalk and probably 2 or 3 people in the street.
Okay.
There wasn't call any cars.
Okay.
I stumbled because I was taking a step when it pushed me, and it caught me off balance, and I stumbled. I caught myself and turned around. I knew right then it was an evil entity, and I knew that what got me is when I went in there, I wasn't in there moments, and this entity knew that I was a believer. It knew that it didn't want me in there,
Exactly.
and it made attempts to get me out of there. And I didn't know what was going on at the moment, and so I obliged and left. But now, and speaking to you, I almost think that I should have said something to somebody or done something, but I don't know what to do. And so it's real, and I thank you for letting me share.
Well, I just thank you for coming on the record, and people need to understand that the supernatural is real. And sometimes it manifests in ways like with Lee, where you go into a voodoo shop and you're just, it's kind of like not really looking for anything, just, well, what's this about? And all of a sudden you're confronted, and they're supernatural confrontations. You're confronted with the face of evil, the face of enemy, even though you don't see him or it. He's there and he's pushing you and he wants you out because you have the spirit of a living God within you, and he doesn't like that. That's his turf and he wants you out of there. Lee, wow, I'll give you the last word, and thanks so much for coming on the record. We appreciate it.
I just want to thank you, and people, please believe that it's out there. The end times is here. They're starting to show themselves, and they're starting to take over if they can. Keep your faith. Hallelujah.
Amen. Thanks so much, Lee. Really appreciate you coming on the record.
So, those giant hands, and we've heard this before, something confronts him. He has a supernatural confrontation in the voodoo shop, and it's pushing him out. Finally, he's on the street, and the thing pushes him, and he almost loses his balance. Folks, that's an encounter that I never want to have, and I'm sure most of you don't want to have an encounter like that either. The bottom line is the supernatural is real. And this man, Lee, went into a voodoo shop, not his territory. And that spirit that oversees over that shop, perhaps over the entire block, we don't know. But that familiar spirit, that demon that's there, I don't think it was a fallen angel, I believe it was demonic. That demon energy that was there sensed the presence of a living God, oh no, not here, and pushed him out. Now, what are we to make of that? If you've got an encounter, if you've been abducted, if you've got sleep paralysis, if you've seen the grays, if you heard the voice of Jesus, if an angel has saved you, if you've had an encounter with Bigfoot, please shoot me an email, supernatural@lamarzulli.net. Supernatural, all one word, @lamarzulli.net. We'll see you again on Wednesday and on Friday with another episode of Supernatural Confrontations. Let me do the close again. 3, 2, 1. We'll see you again on Wednesday and Friday with another exciting episode, another testimony of supernatural confrontation. Remember, folks, keep your armor on and keep it well oiled. Yeah, see?